The eCom Seller Summit was created to prove that with the right tools and training, anyone and everyone can make money in e-commerce. So many people want to try their hand at e-commerce, selling on eBay, Amazon, Shopify, and more, but they're afraid they won't be successful. This summit will show you that there's many ways to do e-commerce, and there are many platforms you can explore, because e-commerce really has no limits. It really can pay your bills, and e-commerce never sleeps. There's nothing like waking up to profits from getting sales all night long. My name is Nicole Whitlock, and this is the eCom Seller Summit.
Growth strategies. One of the main things I wanted to talk with people about, whether I'm not really sure where you are in your journey. I'd love for you to drop in your chat whether you are an aspiring business owner or whether you are an existing business owner, because that will help me a lot with going through this presentation. But what I wanted to share with you guys is that we have to, at some point in our business, learn how to recreate, recover, and reimagine your business. And whether you started or whether you're already in it, there might be where you've gone down a road and you've started somewhere with your business and you're not quite sure that it's going in the direction that you desire for it to go. There's always an opportunity for you to rethink your process and figure out what you can do to excel or grow. So today, here's some key components that we're going to focus on. This workshop was developed to help small business owners comprehend 5 basic business growth strategies for scaling and sustaining your business. So the first thing is comprehending your market. That is so important because most of us have to really understand where we are in the industry in order to be able to navigate or maneuver. The next thing is comprehending your audience, like really having an intimate understanding of who your audience is and what they want. The next thing is you have to know your competition. That is so important, right? A lot of people think about knowing your competition as competing with them on a level like you went and you stole their information. We're not talking about that. We're talking about knowing your competition so you can understand where they're being successful in the market, so you can ascertain where you can bring something unique. And then the next thing is going to be comprehending your goals. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with comprehending your options. So give you guys a little anecdote. Somebody asked me, why do I use the word comprehend instead of understand? And I use the word comprehend because to me, that is something, understanding can be easy, but when you comprehend something, you totally gain it and understand it as you get it as a whole. And when you get it as a whole, for me, that means that you're able to apply it, because that means that you truly understand where you're going with it. So I like to tell entrepreneurs to comprehend things on a larger scale and really know the concepts so that you can be able to apply them or adjust, change, and then pivot. All right, so let's get started. Comprehending your market. The reason why that is so important is because you are the expert. If you have made the decision to start your business, know that you're an expert in whatever it is you choose. So if you've chosen a product, you're the expert in your product. There's something that drove you to make the decision to sell that product. If you are a service person, whatever service you're in, you're the expert in that. And I'm going to share with you guys something that, and so I'm also a recipient of SCORE mentorship. And I will tell you that a lot of times we don't realize that no one knows what you don't know until you tell them. So really being confident in your space and understanding that as the expert on your product or on your service, or more importantly, as the expert on you, it will help you with being, an absolute master in your market. So let's get started with what you need to know. right? So how do you comprehend your market? For some people, it's a little difficult because a lot of people, they don't know what it is that they don't know. But I will tell you this, that if you have been blessed to have this idea to birth a business, then you already have some kind of expertise at your disposal. That's guaranteed, because just your passion alone and your desire to do research, or your desire to even want to bring that and deliver that to people gives you a space where you can be confident. So, and if you're not feeling that confidence, right, the easiest thing for you to do, go study the experts. So who is the expert in your industry or in your market? Like, who is knocking it out the park? Who is the person that you would say to yourself, if I had to mirror myself after anyone, or if I had to have the level of knowledge of anyone, who would it be? Take some notes from that person, right? Maybe even take some classes with that person. It's possible if you're able to have that person be your mentor, that's always an amazing thing. But also, you want to understand that you have to have a benchmark. And the benchmark for experts is this: you're going to have someone that is at the top of class in your market, and then you're going to have some people that are at the bottom of the class in your market. If you're just starting, it is really okay for you to start out in the middle, right? Because it's a really good place to be for you. And because when you're in the middle, it definitely gives you room for growth. So study the experts. That is super important. Now, I will share with you, when you talk about your market, there's a difference between understanding the industry as a market and then understanding how to market to that group. So right now we're talking about really understanding your industry. And to do that, you have to do market research, right? Even though I have 15 years of experience in the training world, I still have to go out and do research and find out, hey, what's going on in the training arena? You know, how have things changed? Especially when we had the pandemic, what kind of training do people need now? And what would be the most advantageous for my business to roll out? So again, that's about adjusting and changing and pivoting according to what's happening in your market. So let's talk. I'm going to be very specific about market research. Number one, the easiest place for you to start for doing your market research is going to be, of course, going to the library. Also, SCORE has an amazing database, or you can talk with your mentor about what are some things that I could be researching, because SCORE does have an amazing marketing team. But then I would also say that the next thing that you can do is just do some Google searches, right? Utilize the right set of keywords to search and find out what's going on in your market. And that can help you but if you identify trends. So again, you could simply search 2021 trends for your market, like whatever your market is. So for me, I searched 2021 training solution trends, or 2021 top leadership training subjects, right? So it's all about what you search. And then also, don't be afraid to use Statistica, right? Go out and find statistics about your market. Go out and find articles that are written by reputable sources about your market. So for me, I choose Forbes and entrepreneur.com, Black Enterprise. There's so many different places, but make sure you're getting your information from a reputable source and a source that you trust. And then identify those trends and figure out how will those trends help you with your business. So is there a trend that you see going that you can capitalize on because you're really knowledgeable about it, or you're really passionate about it? And then use your resources. And that is so important. So that's what we're talking about: articles and industry reports, also, Google Trends, industry magazines. What I will share with you guys is super important is we have the luxury of not even having to search for some things. Now you can actually put alerts on. You can do a Google alert. You can do alerts for whatever magazines you like. You can do alerts inside of apps where they will highlight or mark whatever type of articles you like. And then there's always the world of email list, right? So your favorite company could actually be sending you an email if you sign up for their blog or their monthly newsletter. So for me, I've signed up for trainingindustry.com. It's a training magazine. And every day I get an email that encourages encourages me to open up, read it, and learn more about my industry. I will share with you that if you take this note, it is very important that you spend every day at least an hour getting to know more about your industry. I know you get busy with your business, but you've got to pick a time in the day, whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon, 30 minutes in the daytime, 30 minutes in the evening, but you've got to pick some time to stay abreast of what is happening in your market, because people will come and buy from you your product or your service because they believe you to be the expert and because they like you. And one of the ways that they will do that is by actually identifying you as the expert in someone that they know, like, and trust. All right. So next is, you do have to develop a marketing strategy. And so I put this here because once you understand your market, you need to develop how to talk to the people that you will encounter, right? So once you truly understand your product and your service, now it's time for you to have a conversation with your customers. And that's what marketing is. So what I would suggest to you is that develop a marketing strategy that really works from the perspective of what can you truly keep up? What can you do on a regular basis? How would you talk to friends, family members, or even if someone you were mentoring in your industry, how would you talk with them, right? Because that way you can have a flowing conversation, and building your marketing strategy around that makes it so much easier. So I'm going to go to our next option. What some of the other things that you, so once, and the reason why I didn't go into depth about marketing is because this is more about strategy, growth strategies. SCORE has amazing marketing people that can come on and teach you way more than I can. So, but what I want to share with you guys is that once you've decided how, once you know about your market, once you feeling confident about it, and then now you've gone out and you've done this research, you know exactly what you're going to talk about. You've put together this marketing strategy, because after you know what you're going to talk about, it's time to have that conversation, right? The next step is tracking that conversation. So you really have to track your efforts. That's important, because as a business owner, the way for you to grow is to know what has impacted you. So what have you done? And how has that helped your business grow? And the way for you to know that is that you have to implement some tracking strategies. So the first thing that I would say is that you want to always go into everything that you do identifying the ROI, and that's your return on investment. Now, what I want to make sure that I am sharing with you guys is that return on investment is not always monetary. Return on investment could be that you are building a relationship with someone that can help you grow. You might be building a relationship with someone that can refer clients to you, that can lead you to your next big client, could lead you to your next big mentor. You could get a return on investment because people lead you to events that yield monetary gain. And then also, I want to share with you guys, don't be afraid to understand that there might be a courting period, right? You may have to engage that relationship for a while, allow it to grow before the fruit of that relationship manifests into something that may be monetary for you. And so when I talk about ROI, that's what I mean. Every time you make a decision in your business to make a move or to do something that involves you investing money. So even being here today, right? You guys expect to gain something from being on this call today. You expect to walk away from this call knowing some strategies that you can immediately implement. I get that. But also know that there are going to be times that you are going to have an expectation that may take a little bit of time for it to manifest into fruition. But that doesn't mean that you don't track it. And it doesn't mean that you are not cognizant of that. So always keep that in mind, that you should know what your return on investment is going to be. The next thing is conversions. That's super important. So you hear people talk about converting a lot when we talk about webinars, when we talk about websites, but I want to make sure you know that everything that you do is about you converting customers or clients, depending on, where you are. So how do you track that? Well, you have to make a cognizant effort of putting together a spreadsheet. I have a couple ways and I'll share that with you, but put together a spreadsheet. put together your activity. So where are you going to go? What is it that you're going to do? And then you want to separate those activities, because everything that you do is a marketing opportunity. If you go to a webinar, it's an opportunity for you to meet people and engage with the presenters as well as the audience. If you go to a vendor a vendor booth at an event, that's an opportunity to network. If you go specifically to a networking event, right? So all of these are things that you can track. All of these are things that you have an opportunity to talk to people about your business, and you want to track those. So when I talk about, I'm going to go back to conversions. So when I talk about conversions, I will share with you that one of the best bits of information that I ever got from my SCORE mentor, his name is Art Kleba and John Harris. They're amazing. That's a shout out to them. But one of the things that they told me is every time you walk into a setting where you can represent your business, pick a number. And that should be the number, and that should be a number of people that you intend to turn into clients or build a relationship with first, with the intention of converting them into being clients. That is so important, because that's how you begin the process of conversion, really understanding a goal. And we'll talk more about goals, but understanding that you have to have conversion on your mind in order to ever do it. So even with building your website, you want to build your website with the intention of, how do I draw clients in or customers in? And then how do I keep them there so that I can convert them over to my shopping cart to purchase? Same thing with if you do consulting, how do you get people to sign up and make an appointment? So that is super important, that you have to have on top of mind how you will convert people and turn them into customers. And then you have to track, how much are you spending to make these things happen? Right? What are your marketing efforts? I will suggest to you, everyone, please go, according to your industry, go look up how much marketing, what is the marketing percentage that is spent according to your industry, right? And that's super important, because marketing dollars are different according to your industry. Some industries have very high percentage of marketing investment. So like, let's say entertainment, and just keep in mind that your industry may have a high or low. So for me, for training, our marketing budget should be between 15 to 20% of our annual revenue. I know that might sound like a lot to people, but you also have to think about, if you're marketing to the right customers and they are bringing in 80, let's say that would be 85 to 80 to 85% of your business, it's definitely worth the investment. But you want to know, how much are you spending on average in your, marketing efforts, but then also when you find out how much you're spending, and then once you get a customer as a result of that, you kind of will you'll get a better understanding of the average amount that you have to spend to bring in a customer. And that's super important, because now you have the opportunity to start saying, okay, if I need to bring in 10 customers per month, and if I'm spending this amount, this is what I will need to do to convert those customers. And that really helps you with understanding where your return on investment is, right? So are you spending money in a way that is feasible for the business, that is actually helping you grow? Or are you spending money and you're spinning your wheels and you're not getting any return on that? So you're going to networking events, you're spending time there. I mean, I've been there, you guys. You can go to a networking event, you may not get a client, but eating and maybe even having a couple of glasses of wine, that might cost you $50. And then that $50 is really your investment. The question is, what did you get in return for that effort? So, and if you go to a networking event every week, that cost can really stack up. So what you want to ask yourself is, am I going to the right events? Am I doing the right things? Am I setting some goals when I'm headed to these events? And then also, what is the revenue that you are generating as a result of what you're tracking? So revenue is super important. You have to know your numbers. I know that when you start your business, a lot of times it is so difficult to know and understand your numbers. I've been in that situation. I started my business and I was like, I don't have any numbers right now to know. But the truth of the matter is you always have numbers, even if those numbers are what you're investing, because I was investing a lot in my business in the beginning, and understanding that that investment is just as important as the revenue. So a good friend of mine always says to me that whatever you put in is what you will get out, but you have to understand how what you put in worked. So that's super important. So now I'd love for you guys to just take a quick moment, if you don't mind, and tell me, name some additional items that you believe as a business owner you should track according to your industry. I know that I didn't list everything. This is high level. We're only going to go over just a few concepts, but share with me in the chat some things that you either do track, that you know have helped you as a business owner going forward. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Quincy, can you hear me? Just making sure that you guys can hear me okay. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay.
We can hear you.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so if you guys get a chance, drop in the chat any additional item that you can track, that would be great. But we're gonna go ahead and move forward. All right, so the next step is comprehending your audience. That is so important. If I could share with you the number one concern that I had earlier in business would be, I didn't really know my audience, honestly, you guys. And I would say I was one of those business owners when I started in 2015 that I truly thought that everyone was my audience. And that is a huge mistake that business owners make. Everyone is not your audience. They just aren't. Because everyone doesn't have the same likes, they don't have the same taste, they don't have the same they don't desire the same things. So you really have to know who your audience is. And I'm going to share a secret with you guys after we go over the bullet points. And hopefully this will help you with being able to leave here today and immediately go and sit down and think about your audience. But I will tell you that I spent about 2 or 3 years really, truly honing in on understanding my audience. And then I read a book that helped me take me to the next level. So I'll go ahead and share the book with you guys now, just to let you know. It is Blue Ocean Strategy. And I'm going to put it in the chat. Blue Ocean Strategy. I'd love to tell you the author. I don't have that in my mind right now, but Blue Ocean Strategy is the thing that really helped me with truly understanding that it is so important for you to find a niche. We hear that all the time, but a lot of times we don't understand the value of that. But the value of finding your blue ocean is so important. When you find that, that's your niche. And that simply means that you are identifying the water where you can go and swim, and there are not already a lot of sharks there, right? So, and another book that you guys can try is what was on. I'm going to go back to the previous slide just so that you can see on the previous slide. That was actually a book that I read, and it was the Expert Secrets. So I'm going to go back just quickly for you guys to be able to see that. This book, Expert Secrets, let's try that again, by Russell Brunson. He also dives in a little bit about talking about the Blue Ocean Strategy, but that is a book that teaches you how to expertly market your business based on the Blue Ocean Strategy. So if you have an opportunity, those are 2 books that I really suggest that you invest in, because it will really help you with, one, Expert Secrets will help you with your marketing message and also finding your niche, and they help you with with talking to that audience. And then Blue Ocean Strategy is one of those things that really, it's a book that really helps you with honing in on your target market. So, all right, so let's get started on the first thing you want to know. How you comprehend your audience is you really have to study them, right? Studying your audience and knowing how they move, where they go, what they do is so important. So you have to have a really, really good understanding of the specific customer that you want. And so that's very important, right? And I say that because some of us have had clients that we realized were definitely not our ideal client. They weren't. They might have been the kind of client that was very difficult. How many of you have ever had a client that they come to you for your expertise, but then they don't want you to give it? They really want to do it their way. So really understanding who your client is and studying your ideal client is important, because once you know it, if you want, and just go back and think in your business since you started, or if you've not. So we'll start with aspiring entrepreneurs. Who is the person that would be the most ideal to you from a demographic standpoint? Where do they go? How would you reach them? What kind of technology do they utilize? Like, are they on mobile apps mostly? Are they on social media? How do they get their information? So are they the type of people that love to subscribe to newsletters or email lists? Or are they the type of people that they would prefer to read ads that pop up in their Google listing? Or are they the type of people who prefer to go and get face-to-face information? Or are they people that like to come to webinars? That is so important nowadays. So what are they, what type of technology are they utilizing? And then how do they get their information? We discussed. And then who and what is important to them? That is so important. So the reason why I want to share that with you is because some of you may have a service. So let's say you have a chiropractic service and you want to think about what's important to the person that would come to a chiropractor, right? So health might be important. Being comfortable. They might be exercisers. They might be former athletes. They may be people that love to incorporate meditation, or maybe even they are the type of people that they just love to stretch, right? Going to a chiropractor or their issue, what might be important to them is pain management. So really thinking about what and who is important to the person that may be in front of you. Also thinking about it from this perspective. Let's say that you own a restaurant, and let's say that you identify that you love family time, right? That could be your niche. If you are building your business so that your restaurant has a family feel, and if that is the case, then that's your messaging. That's who you're talking to. You're talking to people who have families, who love to bring them out and eat, or who love to have family gatherings. Or, your messaging for that could be, hey, do you go to, Mima's house every Sunday for brunch or lunch, but this weekend you want to give her a break? This is the kind of family restaurant that you can bring Mima to, right? Just really understanding what kind of language would you have and what would really resonate with your audience. And that is so important. The next thing is going to be, what challenges do they have? So what challenges does your does your audience have, right? That is super important, because a lot of us, and I'm going to share this just because you guys really need to know it. Most people operate in the problem, right? So I'm being very careful about my words. So there are a lot of us that have graduated to the point where we see, the lesson in everything, and we try to see the best in it, and we try to be the most optimistic. Being an entrepreneur a lot of times kind of just puts you in that optimistic space, or it makes you more optimistic. But there are also always going to be people that exist in the problem because they haven't worked through it in their mind. They haven't found a solution that they can stick with consistently. So truly understanding the problem of your niche or your target target audience or understanding their challenges. Maybe it's not a problem. Maybe they've identified that they know that it's an issue, it's a challenge, and they need a way to be able to consistently overcome that hurdle, right? Really being able to know that and speak to that is super important. And then lastly, how can you leverage collaborations and partnerships? So when we're talking about comprehending your audience, remember, you're not the only person with that specific audience. There's always an adjacent there's always opportunities for people that are adjacent. So I'll give you guys an example. I do training. I have a training company. I build customized training for people or for organizations and nonprofits, but I also facilitate training for people. I have training that I've already done that is my flagship training, like this one, and I go out and I facilitate and deliver. Now, I want to make sure that you guys understand that SCORE does the same thing. They deliver training and webinars to help small business owners, but I am leveraging this opportunity to be here and speak with you guys. So, and how do you, and that is how you leverage a collaboration or leverage a partnership. And so this is because we have adjacent audiences. They speak to business owners, as do I. There are nonprofit organizations that join these calls as well. So understanding that partnering with people that have the same audience as you, that have, they talk to people that have the same challenges. That is so important because it gives you the opportunity to be able to reach people that may not be in your sphere of influence. So that's very important. So if I had to tell you guys one thing to do today for sure, I'm going to give you 3 things that I challenge you to do today about comprehending your audience. Number 1, write down the demographic of your audience. What does that look like? Build an avatar. So if you don't know what that is, go out, Google that, but build an avatar. You want to be very specific and hone in on who your avatar or your customer is, because when you decide that, you are having a conversation with that person, a very intimate conversation with that person. And believe it or not, it really does work. When you come from a place of transparency and a place of speaking directly to the spirit of your customer or client, it does work. So that's the first thing. The second thing I challenge you guys to do is definitely purchase the Blue Ocean strategy. If not, I'll tell people, if I'm a book person, I love books. I love to highlight and write notes. If not, go to YouTube. There is on YouTube, you can just search it, and it is about a 6-hour audio book, but it is definitely worth it. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is to list who you know that has a large audience that you would like to engage with. So list partners that you could go and speak to and start building a relationship with, offering value to their audience, and then hopefully bring them into your fold to become your audience. So I do want to talk to you guys, before I go to the next item, I do want to talk a little bit about the technology that people are using. If you are a business owner, you cannot be afraid to utilize technology. Once you've built your avatar, you literally have to go where they are. So if you identify that your audience is 25 to 30, you have to be where 25 to 30-year-olds are. If your audience is 25 to 50, you have to be where those people will be. So understanding that social media platforms are important. Am I saying you have to be on all of them? No. But you must be on the most popular ones that your audience frequents. Super important. So for me, I'm not on TikTok. Everybody tells me I should be, just haven't made that decision. But also the people on TikTok are not necessarily my specific age group. But I will share with you that I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, and I'm really learning to grow my LinkedIn, but it's because of what I do. So based on my industry, LinkedIn is the ideal platform for me because I get to meet professionals. I get to meet people that are professional in the corporate arena. Business owners are also there, but then also nonprofit organizations can be found there. So very important that you identify where is your audience and speak to them there. Do not keep speaking to your audience from a place of comfort. If you're speaking to people on Facebook and your audience isn't there, you're really wasting your time. There is no return on investment to speaking to people who are not buying from you. There's no return on investment to speaking to people who are not your ideal audience. Now, you can speak to them on your off time after your business hours, but during your business hours, you need to be in the places where your audience is. Also, live streaming. You guys, we're in an era where you got to get used to being on video. And if not, you got to have somebody in your organization that is willing to step up into that space for you, because live streaming is a thing. It's what we're doing. We are, classes are happening, panelist interviews are happening. So just being comfortable with one, live, right? But then two, if not live, at least step into the pre-recorded space so that you can get comfortable, because nowadays our audiences want to see us. They want to see our face, especially, it's a pandemic. People can't come and physically meet you and shake your hand, but they can see your face. And believe it or not, people can see you and they can see your energy, right? So I'm hoping right now what you guys are getting from me is that I truly care. I'm animated, I'm active, but it's because I really want you guys to learn and grow. So, and people can pick that up from your energy when you do video. Also, mobile applications. You go and do research on mobile applications, especially those that are in your industry or industry specific. There are so many applications out there today that can really help you with growing your business, from utilizing Canva on your mobile phone, utilizing Word Text, which I use Word Swag. There's so many things you can use to market your business on your phone. But then the other thing is there are so many, applications that can keep you abreast of your industry. And then there are applications that can connect you to customers and connect you to mentors. So there's just so much out there that you've got to just run out there, go find something that works for you. Also, my last thing about mobile apps is please be in the habit of utilizing apps that will help you with being more efficient as a business owner. So there are applications where you can scan your receipts that will drop them into reports for you for the end of the year. There are CRM, which is a customer relationship management application that you can utilize from your phone, such as 17 Hats. But that's super important. Also, have a website. If you can't afford a full website, at least having a landing page is super important. And I want you to consider how your website really impacts your audience, right? Because a lot of times people come to your website and the first thing that they do is they judge you based on looking at your website. So it's kind of like when somebody walks in your house. They walk in your house and your house is junky, it's disorganized, it's not easy to navigate through. They're having a hard time finding their way to the bathroom. If you think about your website like your home, you'll really understand that it's necessary for it to be smooth and for it to have a look and feel that makes people want to come back and visit, or makes people want to come refer others to it. We've already talked about social media platforms, and then there's a little bit more advanced things that you can do. Now, this might not be for everyone on the call, but for some of those of you that are a little bit more advanced, I want to make sure that you know that now is the time for you to start taking advantage of things like your Facebook ads, Instagram ads, geofencing, retargeting, and even chatbots. That is so important. If that's not for you right now, I would challenge you to at least even start email list building and send out emails, or also text message campaigns, because those are easy. But these are things that you can do because your audience is in that space. Your audiences are reading emails, they are reading text messages. So let's go to, and I'm going to check in with you, Ms. Yates. Do I have any pressing questions? Because when I put the presentation in presentation mode, I can't see the chat as easily as I'd like to. So do I have any pressing questions in there that you think I should address now?
Can you hear me, Tiffany?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so there's a question from Mr. Bell. He says, how much current experience I have can bring in income? How much current experience I have can bring in income?
Okay, I believe that he answered that in relation to what kind of questions could a person track. So that's a very good.
Back on video for me.
Yes, that's a very, very great question for people to track.
It's okay. The other question is, will the presentation or the Cliff Note version of the same be available to participants?
Okay. That is something that's I'm not I have the presentation. I don't have Cliff Notes. What I know that we could do is that I know that we could convert this into text and shape that and then put that there. I'm not sure if that's something that SCORE can do, but Mark, we can definitely talk about that after the presentation. That'd be great.
I know for sure, Tiffany, that we once we record this, and we will upload it up to our website, and then our clients will be able to go up there and download it themselves.
That is excellent. Okay, so great. That definitely takes care of that. And thank you so much for asking that question. That was a great question for people
All
that are
right,
going on.
that's it for the questions for now. You can continue.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's move to our next topic, which is comprehending your competition. So I don't know how many of you guys are fans of Queen's Gambit. I absolutely love that miniseries. I just got finished finalizing watching. We binge watched. I binge watched it with my mother. We had such an amazing time. But what I will share with you guys is that as a trainer, I have learned how to incorporate everything that I encounter in my life to my business, because everything is everything that you learn is nutrition. It really is. And you take it in wholeheartedly with an openness. You make an adjustment and figure out, okay, what can I take from this nutrition that I can feed my business that will help it grow? And then whatever it is that you have that will not help it grow, you discard it, and that's okay. But be willing to receive things or receive information from everywhere, every source. And so I watched the Queen's Gambit, and here is the thing that I identified. Number one is that they said, it's your game, take it, right? It is your business. You have to take control of it. When you know what you know, and when you're really confident, you just have to move forward in that. But the thing is that you have to go get the business. You have to so first thing is you have to plan to find business. You have to go find you have to address and talk with the clients. And then you have to ask for the business. You have to send invoices, right? You have to own your business in every sense of the word. Not just I am a business owner, but do I really own my actions? Do I own my tasks? Do I own everything that I'm doing in this business so that I can be successful at it? So I wanted to start there. I just thought this would be inspiring. But again, remember, I'm all about when you talk with your audience, you have to engage them in a way. And so I know that this is, and I'm giving you guys as a marketing, I'm interjecting as a marketing thing here. Putting this here was to grab your attention, because whether you were paying attention or not, knowing that I put something in the presentation that draws people in, it may be something that you remember. So if this is a memory point for you, that makes me super happy, right? But that's what you need to be doing as a business owner in everything that you do, because everything is a marketing opportunity, right? So let's talk a little bit about comprehending your competition. Here's a quote. So you've got to keep reinventing. You'll have new competitors. You'll have new customers all around you. Like there is no, everything that you do is going to put you in a situation where you're going to have new competitors. So if you launch a new product, if you move into a new space, and we'll talk about that, if there's a change in the economy, if there's a major change in the market, there are always going to be new people entering the market. Some people will be entering the market directly because of you, because you inspired them to do so. So, making sure that you understand that, remember the first words that I gave you at the beginning of the training. I said that you have to learn to make these words comfortable for you: adjust, change, and pivot. So adjusting, changing, and pivoting is very much about being able to stay competitive. And I don't mean competitive necessarily with competition. How do you stay competitive with yourself? How do you compete every year over year to do more and grow your business? If you made $100,000 last year, great. How do you make $150,000 this year? If you make $150,000 this year, how do you do that? $200,000. If you hired 2 employees one year, what is your plan to grow more and create more jobs? So really, you should focus more on being your greatest competition. If you think about Queen's Gambit, she focused on becoming the best she could. She studied her competition, but she studied them in a way so that she could apply it and beat them at their game. So I'm going to say that again. Studying the competition so that you can apply it and beat them in the game by playing your game, by running your race. So let's talk about that. So how do you comprehend your competition? Well, first thing you need to do is write a list of your competition. This is so important. You know who your competitors are. So here's my example. If you are a restaurant owner, that doesn't mean that you go look up every restaurant in the city of Houston. What I mean is go look up do your market research and find out who is doing exactly what you do or something very close to what you do. So restaurant example, if you're going to open a burger joint, you should know how many burger restaurants are within the zip code of where you're planning to open or launch. Or if you're already there, you may want to you might want to write a list of who sells the same food that you do. And maybe you may need to be innovative and sell your food in a different way or add something else to your menu list. And we'll talk a little bit about that too, but create a list. So write a list of who does what you do in the industry. Most importantly, I want you to write down those that, and I tell everybody, this is a good strategy. You want to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So if you're creating a list of competition, you want to write down competitors who are doing an amazing job. I mean, like these people are blowing it out the water. And in your mind, you're like, as soon as I can get my business to this step, we'll be flowing, right? We'll be in autopilot. Write down 1 or 2 of those. Then the next one is to write down 1 or 2 people that are in the market that are not doing well. Right. And you can tell, like you've gone and you've looked at reviews and you see that people are saying that, they're getting poor reviews, or, maybe they may not be doing good financially and they might be getting ready to close their doors. It's very important for you to understand that those 2 perspectives, because you want to grow to one and you want to avoid the other, right? So you want to grow to being the best in class in your market, but you want to avoid being one of those people that has to shut their doors. How do you do that? You have to learn from both. You have to learn what the best is doing better. What are their best practices? And then you also have to learn what are the worst doing. Like, how are they failing? What are their challenges? What are their hurdles? And what I tell people is, if you learn that, if you know what the challenges and hurdles are of your competition, especially the ones they're not meeting, guess what? You have actually just built in your competitive edge. Address what they're not addressing. Right? So you might know some business that has grown so big that they have a lot of clients, but now their customer service is horrible. That can be your niche. It could be your thing. It can be your end. This is how I meet this market and this group of people, because I am going to do the same thing, but I'm going to have an amazing customer service section or support, right? All right, next thing is direct and indirect competition. A lot of people don't think enough about that. You have direct and indirect competition. Yes, you can definitely submit your email addresses for me to contact you guys. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I wanted to make sure I caught that because it popped up on the screen. So direct and indirect is super important when it comes to competition. Here's why I want to share that part with you. If you are I'm gonna go back and utilize the chiropractor as my example. So if you know what a chiropractor does, right, understanding that because chiropractors deal with people who may be in pain, that person's competition may also be a pain management clinic, right? Because they have the same audience. So understanding that they might not be direct competition in that they're not a chiropractor, but they have the same audience. So I want to make sure that you guys are thinking about that. I want you to write down. So for me, right, SCORE is an indirect competitor of mine, not direct, right? Because SCORE doesn't actually sit, that's not their job, isn't to customize training. They don't have the same mission that my organization does, but they serve the same community, and they distribute the same kinds of information. So really understanding who is your direct competition and who is your indirect competition. When you write that down, that's very important, because now you know who to go collaborate with and partner with. Not only can you study them, but you can go and learn from them. Study their movement in the market. So important. So how is your indirect and direct competition moving? You can be quietly inspired by your indirect and direct competition. You really can. Like if when people follow me on my journey, there's some people that have followed me for 5 years, and they have watched me do nothing but grow. They've watched my pitfalls, they've watched my mistakes, but they have also watched my level up. They have watched me grow. They've watched me blossom. They've watched me connect with people. And some people have done so silently for 2 or 3 years. So always know that there are people out there studying you, and it's okay for you to be out there studying others. But you have to know, what are they doing? Like, write down their milestones, right? When you see your competitor launched a new location, go dig into that and find out, wow, how did they get there? Who are they connecting with? How did, what made this happen, right? Go to their social media and see if they're sharing their journey. Also, research and monitor your competitors. I do that often. I do not research and monitor my competitors to do what they're doing. I actually research and monitor them to carve my own lane, to make sure that I am doing something in a way that is unique to my organization so that it has value. Right? But I won't know that unless I'm open enough to go out and research my competition and find out what they're doing, and then figure out, okay, Tiffany, how can you be unique? How can you do something different in the market that provides, value, but does not mirror what they are doing? Because I have to set myself apart. But you can't set yourself apart if you're creating products and creating messaging that mimics someone else's, even if it's not intentional. And here's what I tell people: if you give from your heart and you market from an authentic place, which is who you really are, number one, it's not hard. And number two, it's easy to keep up with, and it will resonate with people. So my next step is do a SWOT analysis on your competition. Now, I presented this in one class, and somebody was like, but wait, you only do a SWOT analysis for your own business plan. No. Go out and do a SWOT analysis of your competition. Go find out, go shop your competition if you can. Find out what their strengths are. Find out what their weaknesses are. Find out what you believe their opportunities to be. What are the threats that you see? And then also, what trends, right? What do you see trending for them? Why is that important? Well, when you know these things about your competitor, you can use those to find your space. You can use that to find your niche, right? Again, knowing a weakness or an opportunity that another organization has, it gives you a place to start, because you are automatically solving a problem in the market. You automatically have a thing that can stand out about you and your organization. And then next is going to be to study your competition. And I sum that up because all of these things that I'm sharing with you is really about studying your competition. You don't have to study all of them. You just have to study the ones that you believe to be your biggest competition. And then understand, and really have a clear understanding of, how will I set myself apart from this organization that I believe to be the benchmark in my industry? Spend more time doing that than just looking at what people are doing and then trying to really study them, find out what they're doing, find out their strengths and their weaknesses, and then ask yourself, how do I capitalize and bring something to the market with value from my organization that meets these spaces? All right. So, and I see I have some questions in here, you guys. I will make sure that I will follow up and answer them. I want to make sure I get you guys through all of our points. So next is comprehending your goals. Sorry about that. My screen was moving a little slow. All right, so comprehending your goals. Now, I'm going to share this with you guys. Everyone at some point as a business owner has heard about SMART goals. I know it. What I will tell you that I have learned is that we look at it, we see it, and we don't actually sit down and do it. I am, and I'm a very transparent person. I will tell you, I've been hearing about SMART goals since it became a thing. I used to do SMART goal. I used to write SMART goals in corporate America for, I was a training manager in corporate America. And my thing is, I wrote SMART goals for the organization because I had to use those goals to, give a business case for why we needed to roll out a specific training to improve performance in our department. But when it came time for my business, for whatever reason, when I first started, I was so focused on getting the name of my business out there, going and meeting people and trying to, bring in clients, that I never stopped to really go back to the basics. And the basics are, you have to do your SMART goals. You have to sit down and actually do them. But not only do you do, the thing about SMART goals is you have to categorize them. So you have to have some SMART goals as it relates to how much money you want to make. You have to have some SMART goals about how you're going to operate your business. You have to have SMART goals about budgeting and expenses. You have to have SMART goals about forecasting, and you also have to have SMART goals about, sales, right? So there's so many different things. You can even do SMART goals about networking, you guys. You really can. So making sure that you are using it because it has value. So for those of you that this may be new, I'm going to entertain and just go over what SMART goals are. But SMART goals are specific, right? So that means that you have a very specific goal in mind, and it's clear, and it is unambiguous, right? Meaning that you have said, so I'll give you guys a goal for myself. My goal for 2021, I have a very specific dollar amount, not a range, but a very specific dollar amount that I want my business to make. Specific goal number 2 is that I want to hire 2 employees in the first to second quarter of next year, right? So making sure that you understand that it's very important that you actually think it, write it, speak it, put it down somewhere, and then read it all the time, right? You want to write your goals, but then you want to keep those goals in front of you. You want to touch base with yourself and find out, where am I with this goal? Have I met it? And if I haven't met it, what task do I need why haven't I met it? What am I not doing? What do I need to incorporate to move closer to it? Next is measurable. So your goals have to be measurable. Measurable might be the hardest part for some people. If you're not a numbers person, I can tell you that I have met a lot of entrepreneurs that are more about words. They're more about the talking. They're more about, everything other than the numbers. But you've got to learn how to be a numbers person in your business, because you have to know your numbers. That is so important. You have to know what you're selling, how much you're selling it for. You have to know how much revenue you're generating. You have to know how many clients you're bringing in. And you need to know that on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annual basis. That is so important, because the only way that you can grow your business is to truly have a good understanding and measurement of how you're growing. So I tell people to be accountable. I'll give you guys what I would share with you about accountability as it relates to your measuring your progress or your business or your goals. Get an accountability partner. I have several. I have 3 different accountability calls that I do every week. They're for an hour each, and I shut my entire business down for those hours because I need to be accountable for what I'm measuring in my business. I have one accountability call that I do with a coach where we talk about my numbers. We talk about pipelining, and she talks to me about, okay, where are you getting your clients from? What are you doing? That's very important. She holds me accountable. I also have an accountability call that I do with my SCORE mentors where we talk about growth, which is totally different from pipelining. We talk about business growth. How am I growing my business and how am I tracking? And then I have another one that is my accountability for a book that I am writing. So making sure that you are accountable for what you are measuring. And then how are you tracking it? Right? Be very specific about how the criteria for measuring your process. Like for you, if you say that I'm going to hire 2 people in 2021, the question is, how will you track that you're being on target? Like, what are your tasks that will lead you to that? So task number 1 could be, I'm going to go and engage a staffing agency. Task number 2, I'm going to make sure that I share with the staffing agency everything that I'm looking for in this employee. Or let's go back. Hold on. Task number 1 could be writing the job description. Like, who do you need to hire and what do you need them to do? First task. Second task, engaging the staffing agency. Third task, having that dialogue. Setting a date on when you want to hire them by, knowing how you're going to train them. So often people miss that step. They miss training their employees, but that's just a set of how, here's your checklist, and this is how you will know how you're trending. All right. So next is what will alert you to identify that you have achieved your goal. That's super important. You have to put some things in place for yourself so that you know how you're trending. And that's really what tracking is about. And then the next is going to be attainable. So the goals that you choose, you need to know whether or not they're actually achievable, right? So if you think about it like this way, if your goal is, I'm going to fly. Well, the question is, can you really attain that? Like, do you mean you're physically going to fly, or do you mean that you're going to drive to the airport and you're going to fly, right? So the question is your goal achievable? If you said, today, I'm going to make $250,000, well, depending on where your business is, you might be able to accomplish that. But if you know that you can't, don't set a goal that you can't achieve. It is okay to have goals and then stretch targets, right? And then and then I ask, this is a Tiffany thing. Are you uncomfortable enough or to encourage change and stretching? Because setting goals and business ownership is all about uncomfortability. It is all about stretching yourself to do the things that you need to do. And I'm not suggesting that you do things that are against your integrity. What I'm saying to you is that you have to do new things. You have to try new things. You have to move outside of your comfort zone to get different results. And that's super important. And you have to encourage yourself to do that. Next is going to be realistic. So are your goals realistic? Like, can you realistically achieve the goal with your existing resources? That's important. So asking yourself if you can achieve your goal with the existing resources that you have. And if you can't, then having the self-awareness to identify that you need to go and acquire additional resources. So next is, are you willing to commit to your goal? That's super important because a lot of people, we put goals down, but then when it gets really hard, we are not committed to it. We don't want to take the steps that it takes for us to be able to go to the next level. So an example would be, let's say you network and you say, and you haven't set any goals about your networking. And it might be difficult for you to go and network and really talk to people with purpose, but you got to step out of your comfort zone. Let's say you are an expert at what you do and people have been asking you to come on panels, but you are afraid of speaking in front of people. You got to get out of your comfort zone because everything that you want for your business is on the other side of you stretching yourself. Then the next is, really knowing, is your goal relevant to your passion and your purpose. I tell people that if you're doing something that you're not passionate or feeling purposed about, it's going to be really difficult for you to move in that space. Because honestly, if you're not passionate and purposed, it's just like having a 9-to-5 job if you're a business owner. So doing something that you feel passionate and purposed about is like waking up every day with a ray of sunshine that, yes, every now and then it rains, even when the sun is shining, but you'll enjoy it more. And then the last part is time. So the reason why I'm going to be very specific about the time portion is because often as business owners, we say we're going to do a thing, but we don't give ourselves a boundary or a deadline. And then what happens is we keep moving that target. So if you have an accountability partner, I want you to focus on when you put your SMART goals together, I want you to be very specific about your time, meaning down to the date, right? So I am determined to do a soft launch of my business by February 15th, with including the relaunch of my website. So my date is February 5th. No, I'm sorry. My date is February 11th and my time is 7 p.m. That is very specific. And if you have an accountability partner, they should be helping you and asking you questions like, are you tracking to that? What steps are you taking? How's that looking? But it has to have specific dates, right? Not just March of 2021. What day in March? What time on that day? Because when you do that, you are automatically forcing yourself to accomplish something, because if not, you're going to miss the date. Think about it like this. In your business, if you have a deadline and that deadline involves a $10 million contract, how many of you would miss that deadline? So if you had a guaranteed contract for $10 million and you have a date and a time by which you have to have something turned in, will you miss that date and time? You have to treat your business like that. Your business is worthy of deadlines and times and you meeting those, no matter how small or medium your business is. All right. Next is, I just want to give you guys an encouraging quote. So setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. I love the fact that Tony Robbins always does, he always does visualization activities. And I tell people that in order for you to clearly write SMART goals, you have to sit down and you have to envision or visualize your business as you want it to be. That means that in the course of being the best business that you could be, what does that look like? Right? What does your office look like? How many clients do you have coming in? You know, how many employees do you have? How many checks do you cash? Right? How many products are you putting out? What does it take? How do you envision your business? And when you do that, when you can see it, like when you can see it in a visual way, you can sit down and write the goals that will help you attain that. And that is so important. So even in that vision of your business, who do you see beside you? Right? Those can be your collaborative partners. Who do you see as resource to you? Right? That's super important. So just setting goals is, just remember, setting your goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible, or I'd even like to say turning the impossible into the possible. So next is comprehending your options, and this will wrap us up. So understanding your options is super important, and this might even be the bulk of some of the things that SCORE wanted me to share with you about your business, especially if your business has experienced, you know, a downturn as a result of the pandemic. This is super important. So if I had to tell you guys to take notes anywhere, this is the place where you really want to take notes. I think that everything has been comprehensive and been things that you needed, but this is really the meat of what you guys will need. So the very first thing that I want to make sure that everyone truly understands is that in order to sustain your business, you must have a business model that services multiple things. And why do I say that? If you have a product, you should incorporate a service. If you have a service, you should incorporate a product. Because that way, no matter what happens in your supply chain or your pipeline, you always have a income stream that is still working for you. The chances of both of your income streams, or your, if you have multiple income streams, all of them are not going to shut down at one time. Very rarely. Like you'd have, and this is just me being candid, you'd have to be the most inept business owner for everything, all of your income streams to shut down at one time. Or maybe not ineptitude. It might be also maybe you got sick or maybe you got ill, but there are also strategies for that, because if that happens, you should have some kind of business insurances. But I want to make sure that I share with you that, again, if you have a service, you have to sit down and develop a product. If you have a product, you should sit down and develop a service. What does that mean? So I have a training organization, and my organization, it's a service, right? So I provide training. We come out, we do it. We're on Zooms or whatever. That's a service, right? I also offer consulting. So I consult people about building training programs. I consult about business development, as well as I consult about community development programming. But the other thing is that I also have built products. So we do digital products. So we put templates together for business owners, and we sell those digital products. The other thing is we have a mobile app that is going to launch, right? So and then also we are working on doing some retail products as well for entrepreneurs, right? So, and why are we doing that? Luckily, I was able to pivot my business online because I do training. But for those of you that the online space didn't really serve you, if you have a service but you had products that you could sell, you could always utilize the internet to be able to push that agenda, and then vice versa, right? So if you have a product, some people say, well, I just sell widgets. I don't have a service that I can offer. If you're an expert in your field, you always have the ability to help other businesses onboard in that area, or to consult, and if you don't want to groom your competition, you always have the option of, just being a consultant to answer questions for people that, want to know more about what you do. Or the thing is, what else is it adjacent to your business? I have a client that sells candles. She's amazing at that, but she also loves self-care. So not only does she have a product, but her service is she is going to start doing training on self-care and mindfulness, right? So just really understanding, and those two tie together, right? Most people burn candles because it makes them feel calm, or because they like the way it makes their home smell. So my point is that she has a product that she can tie a service to, and it makes logical sense. So I want you guys to start thinking about, if you have a product, how could you connect a service? If you have a service, how could you connect a product? Next and this is expanding your business model. The next thing I wanted to share with you guys about expanding your business model is this: B2C, B2B, and then B2G. So business to customer, business to business, and then business to government. You've got to really think about, how can you expand your business to incorporate something in every one of those lanes, right? So right now, my B2C version is, I have individual customers or clients that come in through, like via me doing a training presentation, or they come to my website and they purchase a training, or, I interact with them on my social media, and those individuals come in, right? And that's just individuals, because these are individuals that want to grow their business. They're a small business. They don't have employees yet, or they are an individual that is aspiring to start their own business, right? B2B is my space where I service small businesses that have employees. So that would be, it can be a corporation, but they just have a limited amount of employees. They can have 10 employees, or, they can have up to 100 employees. But the point of the matter is that these are companies or corporations that I offer packaging to them. So you can come to my new website. We'll have the ability for them to go and purchase training for their employees to do individual discovery, or they can hire me to come in and I can do customized training for them. But that service is my B2B group. And then B2G, that is literally looking at government contracting and being able to, for you, that could be if you sell supplies, right? Getting a government contract, either city, state, or federal, right? Because B2G is working with the government, and that does involve you guys getting your certification. So you can check into the Houston business of the Houston Office of Business Opportunity, which is OBO. You can get certified to do business with the city of Houston. There's the SAM.gov where you can go and register so that you can get RFPs and do business with the federal government. There's several steps that are involved in that, and SCORE offers several classes that can help you along that journey. But why am I saying that? Because you have to think about expanding your business model. The more you expand and the more diverse you are, it helps you with being able to scale and grow and sustain your business. And then also it helps you bring money into your business from different spaces so that you can understand that if the economy has a downturn and individuals are no longer spending, you still have businesses. And if the small businesses cannot spend, you still have the government. So thinking about it like that and really understanding that diversifying what you do and how you do it and how you present it to the market is the best way to scale and sustain. Next is going to be new client acquisition. So new client acquisition is super important because sometimes what happens is, as entrepreneurs, we get complacent with our customers that we currently have, and we are not aggressively going out and pursuing new clients, and that can be to the detriment of your business. You have to constantly be thinking of how can you grow your client base? Where might new clients be? And what does that look like? So expanding your reach is super important. So often we stay in our box, right? So your box right now might be Houston. Have you considered expanding your business to other cities? Whether that is, reaching other cities via social media, whether that is appealing to other cities via your website, whether that is tracking, via your website and finding out what parts of the country are people paying attention to me, and then delivering your messages based on that. So even in your social media, you can find out, if you have more people following you in Mississippi and you sell widget A, then maybe you should target an ad to the people in that area. Or let's say you're a speaker, or let's say you're a consultant and you've always wanted to expand to Atlanta. Well, the question is, start building relationships and collaborations in that area. Invest in traveling there to do a speaking engagement, or invest in traveling there to go to some networking events, to meet with some people, build a relationship. And then that way, when you come back to Texas, you can work on that relationship. That might not be easy to do now as it relates to travel, but why not go and find people that are in that area and show an interest in their growth so that they can connect with you, and then do Zoom calls with them, right? So new client acquisition is so important right now. In the midst of this pandemic, we have time, and we can utilize our online resources to connect with people. And that is so important. So it is okay for you to share. It doesn't always have to be about the sale. it really has to be about the information and the sharing. What do you give? How do you give value to people that may want to come in and do business with you? Because if you give me value, I may not be able to afford you today, but the minute that I can, you are on my radar, and I will make sure that I shop with you because you gave me value. So I can only imagine that if you gave me value just from a conversation or just from a Facebook Live or just from a webinar with SCORE, if you gave me that kind of value, what kind of value would you give me when you engage and pay, or when you engage and purchase services? So just make sure that you are, and then also track new client acquisition. That's important, right? You have to know how many more clients do you need, how many are you getting, and where are you getting them from, so that you can always concentrate your efforts in marketing and investment in marketing in the places that are giving you the most return on your investment. So next is going to be re-engaging existing and previous clients. So many entrepreneurs miss this. You have people that have purchased from you one time, and you may have their email address, or you may be connected to them on social media, but you're not reaching out to them. And I'm not saying reach out to them to ask them to buy something. Reach out to them to reconnect. Say, hey, I see that, you just graduated, or your daughter just graduated. How are things going with you? Start the conversation there with engaging them about their life. And then the next thing is to naturally progress to, I see that, you purchased a item from us 6 months ago. What's your feedback on that? Is that product, how did that purchase go for you? Just re-engaging your previous clients, and then even touching base with your existing clients, especially now. So my challenge to you guys is, if you're a business owner, how many of you have reached out to your previous or existing clients as a result of the pandemic? Like, really just, reached out to them and said, hey, how are you doing? Because I know this is a difficult time for us. It's difficult for us as business owners too, but we just want to check with you and see how you're doing. That is a strategy. One, I would do that because I truly care. But two, it is a strategy because people want to know and like you. And the way that they do that is by knowing that you have their best interest at heart, and by you showing concern for them. All right, next is going to be converting clients from the competition. So many people frown on that, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not telling you to go out and poach people's clients. What I'm telling you is that your competitors may be making mistakes. They may be doing things. So I'll give you an example. People stay with certain companies because they don't like change. So I'll give you an example. My mother was with Reliant Energy forever, and they offered the worst service. Their customer service was horrible, but she stayed. And she stayed because it was consistent. I mean, the lights were always on. She paid the bill. They just weren't helpful as it related to customer service. If we had a power outage in the place where we live, they didn't really answer questions very well back then. And their customer service was atrocious. Let's just say that, right? But she didn't change because it was just easier for her. The bill came at the same time every month. She paid it. It was just a process for her, even though she didn't like it. A lot of us stay with our wireless carrier, even though we might not like it. Right? I love my wireless carrier, but the point I'm making is sometimes we stay with businesses even though we don't like it. We're waiting for someone to come along and to offer us something that is better, more value, and greater support. When you do that and you put that out front, right? If your messaging is, hey, are you looking for a product or service provider that has amazing customer service, amazing follow-up, right? That might appeal to those people, and then you may have an opportunity to convert. And then next is going to be expanding your locations. We've already talked about that a little bit, but keep in mind that if you had a brick and mortar, expanding online is an opportunity. Or if you're online, making sure that you are, even though if you look at your social media, you'll notice that you tend to have more clients and customers in the area that's closest to you, because those are the people that know, like you, and trust you. really make an effort and do some smart goals around in expanding your audience to different states and building relationships, even different countries. I will share a testimony with you guys. I just did a Facebook Live with a content developer in the United Kingdom. It was amazing. We had the best time. And I gained fellowship from people who followed her because we had such a, it was, so because we had such a great live, and we talked about such wonderful concepts. And she and I are now building a relationship. I've traveled a lot, but I've not been to the UK. I'm excited about this relationship that I'm building with her. But the thing that I'm saying is there are no boundaries. We can be global. Online and the internet has allowed us to be able to expand our businesses to wherever we want them to go. But you have to want it. You have to make a goal for it. And then you have to go out and attack it and make it happen. Also, franchising opportunities. So just knowing that if you have put together a system for your business. So think about it like this: if your business is at a point where you have written your processes, your procedures, you have a system, and it is something that someone could purchase in a box and they could take it and they could run it and they could be successful at it, you might want to consider franchising opportunities. And or you may want to consider purchasing, if you do something right now for your business, and you could potentially purchase a franchise that could help you grow. It works both ways: purchasing a franchise or expanding to become one. SCORE offers several classes on people that desire to even build their business into a franchise, and that is a expansion or a growth or a scaling strategy that can always be used. Next is product line or service expansion. I tell people, yes, you may offer one product, but I want you to go and think to yourself, go do searches, market research, and say, you could search things like, if a customer, and you guys see it all the time, you'll get a pop-up or an ad that will say, even on Amazon, it'll say, this customer bought this book, but they also bought these books. That's a strategy, right? So really understanding what you sell, if a person would purchase that, what's adjacent to that they would also purchase? And if that is the case, consider adding that to your, to your repertoire of things that people can purchase. Consider that. Same thing with service. If you, and I'm going to use a stylist. So if you're a stylist and that's your service, you want to consider what other things might a person want. So if you're a stylist, a person might want a makeup artist, and they may also want, let's say, they may want, you guys, fashion is so not my thing, but I'm trying to do something diverse for you guys. But if you're a stylist and or image consultant, you might want to consider connecting with a makeup artist so that a person can be a one-stop shop with you, and then the makeup artist gets a percentage of whatever for you bringing that business in. So really just understanding, how do you bring people in and how do you expand to keep those people? Once a customer comes in, how can you keep them in your ecosystem, and how can you keep them shopping longer with you? And that is because you have put these connections together and you've made it a no-brainer for them, right? They don't have to go anywhere else because you've anticipated their needs and you have what they need right there. And you can make those recommendations and you can support them around the holistic solution for what they need. And then last is going to be licensing. So this is for my intellectual property group of people out there. There are some of you that are amazing and you know a lot about what you do, but you haven't taken the time to sit down and write it down, or you've not created a system or a program around it. This is really for my trainers and for my authors and all of those, understanding that if you are able to put together a comprehensive program, and if you are able to write it in such a way that it could be used as PLR, which is private label rights, It could be something that you sell to people that they use to grow their business, and you can license that out. And there's a whole structure behind licensing your products. And you wanted to, connect with SCORE and talk with them more about that. But the reason why, and of course, before you license, you want to get a trademark. You want to do all the things that you need to do to legally protect yourself. I have to put that out there. That's very important. But again, SCORE can help you with that. But the reason why I say that is because licensing your products could be revenue that you could do yearly contracts for licensing. Sorry, you guys, I have immediately got nasal. But you can do yearly contracts for licensing, and then that can help you with generating revenue. Now, keep in mind, the options that I'm giving you, these are things that can help you grow and scale your business. These are growth strategies, and that's very important. You don't have to implement them all now. As a matter of fact, you can't. What I want you to do is to just start somewhere. Pick one and grow that, and give yourself a goal and a time, and say, hey, I'm going to focus this quarter on this. And then, you may have to focus for a year on the licensing part, and that's okay. But as long as you have it in your radar for how you're going to grow your business, that's super important. And then again, I'm going to tell you the last thing is that, and so this is my information, and I'm going to wrap it up. What I would love to share with you guys is this. If you have not written a business plan, you must do so. SCORE offer, I encourage that, because I've done several business planning trainings for SCORE. They have other amazing people that do business plan training as well. But the reason why I say that is that a lot of times we start our business and we think, I don't have to put a plan together because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going to sell. I already have clients. Your business plan is more about how you will grow. It's not really about what you're doing now. It is about how you plan to grow and sustain your business. And a lot of these concepts that I provided in today's training are really about growth. And it's about understanding your market, understanding your growth, and understanding how your messaging plays a part in that. And so that's what I have for today. I open for questions, and I will take a moment to take a look at, let me stop sharing my screen. I'm going to leave this just for a second. So I have the name of my business, my location. I also have my phone number here and my email address, and then my website as well. And then for those of you that joined a little bit later, my name is Tiffany Hicks, and I am the CEO of VRE Training Solutions. And I'm also the founder of Experience Entrepreneurship Globally, which is a nonprofit organization that assists entrepreneurs and nonprofit founders. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing, and I am going to turn my camera on. So, do we have any questions? Let me put my glasses on so that I can check out the questions in the chat. All right, so, okay, thank you. I have an email address here. And can I recommend any books on SMART goals? I'm going to be honest with you. I have not read any books on SMART goals. What I have done is I have just gone out and done my own research on SMART goals. And then because I do business planning and I teach people how to build their business plan, I started really incorporating SMART goals into the process of writing business plans. So Kim, that's one thing I don't have. I don't have a book, but if you will give me your email address, I will be more than happy to go. I have friends that, let me tell you, I have a deep resource of friends and that's all we read. And that's how you grow. You grow by attending workshops like this. You grow by reading more to help you grow. So if you'll shoot me your email address, I'll be more than happy to get a suggestion for you from someone that I know that can make a good recommendation. Is there any way that we can get a recorded version of this webinar? Based on what Ms. Yates said, that the SCORE will take the call, and they will put the call on the website so that you will be able to access it.
That is correct. Ms. Tiffany, thank you so much. It will take a couple of days, guys. So just check um, on the website where you go to houstonscore.org under recorded webinars, and you will see it there in a few days when it gets up. Give them a week.
Okay. And I am going to show you guys. I realized that when I touched the chat while I was talking to you guys, that it actually turned my camera off, but I'm hoping that you guys can you see my screen now? Oops, sorry.
Yeah, you can see you.
Okay, you see me. Great. Okay, so give me 1 second. I had someone that wanted to know how they could reach me. So I'm going to do a share screen. Hopefully you can see me and my screen.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is how a person would be able to reach me if they needed to. I realize that when you do a presentation, if you go into the chat, it may it turns me from being able to see everything. So I'm sorry, Ms. Chase, are there any other questions that are in there that you think that are things that I need to address?
No, just a couple people have sent you their email addresses, and I could get those to you if you're able to see those.
Okay.